Scene 1, morning in Backland. It was Klein's first morning in Backland. The weather was cold, damp, and foggy. Visibility was terrible. For breakfast, he had a big mug of cheap tea that cost a penny and 2 slices of toast with a little butter that was clearly low quality. He spent the whole morning busy, starting with a trip to the Backland Bulletin office in Sherwood Borough to place a small advertisement. It cost him £30 for a month's run. Starting Tuesday, readers of the Backland Bulletin would see this small ad squeezed between the pages. Sherlock Moriarty, skilled in all kinds of private investigations. Reasonable fees, strict confidentiality, address, 15 Minsk Street, Sherwood Borough. He didn't pick the major newspapers like the Tussock Times or the Backland Daily Tribune. Those were read all over the Lowen Kingdom. His work would be local, and besides, he didn't want too much fame. The Backland Bulletin was affordable, popular in the city, and fit his needs perfectly. Scene 2, Gathering Ritual. Materials. After leaving the newspaper office, Klein unfolded a map and spent the rest of the morning going around the city. He bought herb powders and silver pieces from different shops, herbalists, flower shops, jewelry stores, and more. These were materials for a mystic ritual. Most of them didn't contain spirituality, so they could be bought from regular stores, though it took visiting many to get everything he needed. By the end of it, he'd spent another £5. His money, once £200, was now down to 92. "Spending money is as easy as drinking water," he muttered, stopping at a small cafe for a simple black pepper steak costing 8 pence. Scene 3, preparing for the gathering. He got home to 15 Minsk Street at 1 in the afternoon. Instead of resting, he immediately began preparing for his ritual. Using slumber flower, dragon blood grass, dark red sandalwood, and mint powders, he mixed together holy night powder, a key ingredient for forming a wall of spirituality. Until he could buy a proper silver ritual dagger, this improvised method would have to do. Klein guessed he'd need to reach sequence 7 before he could get rid of this limitation. He lay down on his bed thinking, "Phew. Miss Justice, Mr. Hanged Man, and the Sun haven't asked for leave. The tarot gathering should happen as usual tonight. I wonder what surprises the Hanged Man has, and how many pages of Roselle's diary he'll bring." Being a private detective, Klein thought, was the perfect balance of income and adventure. It would let him meet people from all walks of life and slowly uncover the Beyonder circles hidden within Backland. Maybe he could even find clues about the secret order, or the potion formula for sequence 7, Clown. As for Ince Zangwill, his enemy, Klein decided not to actively seek him out yet. But if fate made them cross paths, and Klein could do it safely, he wouldn't mind sending an anonymous letter to the Church of the Evernight Goddess. Scene 4, planning finances. A private detective can at best afford a middle-class life, he thought. If I want real money for potion formulas and Beyonder materials, I'll have to rely on Miss Justice, or invest using the £100 left in my anonymous account. The £92 I have here must not be touched. With that thought, he sat up and headed downstairs, grabbing the newspapers he'd bought earlier. He flipped through the pages, looking for business ventures or inventions that needed investors. He wanted to use his knowledge from Earth to spot opportunities. Unfortunately, nothing in today's papers looked trustworthy. At 2:45, Klein went back upstairs, locked his door, drew the curtains, and burned holy night powder to form a wall of spirituality. He took 4 steps counterclockwise, and the next moment he was above the gray fog, sitting in the high-backed chair of the Fool. He reached out with his spirituality and touched the crimson star representing the sun, answering a silent prayer. "At least this part of my life hasn't changed," Klein sighed softly. Scene 5, City of Silver. Outside the City of Silver, 9 members of a patrol squad sat around a bonfire inside a half-collapsed black tower. Some guarded the perimeter, others chatted about a recent encounter with a monster covered in eyes. The City of Silver taught harsh lessons. Never let your guard down. Monsters in the dark could be right behind you. In such darkness, only fire and light kept them safe. Once swallowed by total darkness, no one knew what horrors might happen. Derek Berg, quiet as always, listened to his companions talk. Suddenly, his vision blurred, and he was surrounded by gray mist. He saw the familiar scene, a vast fog and a blurry figure on an ancient high-backed chair. The Fool's voice. "Prepare for the gathering." No one else noticed. Derek carefully moved to the edge of the firelight, leaned against a wall, and pretended to nap. He'd confirmed by now that even the most powerful people in the City of Silver couldn't detect Mr. Fool. As long as he stayed careful, he could safely attend the mysterious tarot gatherings, even while others watched. Scene 6. Empress Borough, Backland. In her luxurious home, Audrey Hall told her family she was tired and went to her room. Sitting on her bed, she waited excitedly for the familiar call. Father's busy with Parliament, and my Beyonder guard isn't following me all the time anymore. Thank you, Goddess, my life's back to normal. 2 weeks have passed. Mr. Hanged Man should have the Rainbow Salamander's pituitary gland ready. I'm finally about to advance to sequence 8. Her eyes sparkled. This was more exciting to her than any amount of money. Then the familiar crimson light flooded her vision, and she was gone. Scene 7. The Sea. On a ship rocking gently in the waves, Alger Wilson sat alone in his locked cabin, surrounded by navigational tools and logs. He read over his notes, 19 pages copied from Roselle's diary. After completing his mission in Backland and being rewarded, he'd return to sea. Once I finish digesting the Seafarer potion, I can advance. My contributions are enough to get the formula and materials, but that will expose the fact I know the acting method. He hesitated, thinking about the risks. Then suddenly he felt the familiar spiritual call. A vision of Chilangos' rotting face flashed in his mind, and crimson light pulled him into the gray fog. Scene 8. Above the gray fog. In the grand, misty palace, Klein, the Fool, sat on his throne and glanced over the 3 crimson figures below: Justice, the Hanged Man, and the Sun. All were stable. Audrey was about to greet everyone, but Alger raised a hand and spoke first. Mr. Fool, I've obtained 19 pages of Roselle's diary this time. I must thank you for sending your adorer to help me deal with Chilangos. These pages are my compensation. Klein smiled faintly. That's the principle of equivalent exchange. Audrey's eyes lit up in admiration. As expected of Mr. Fool, even a pirate admiral meant nothing to him. I wonder how many high-level Beyonders he commands. Alger continued humbly. I can only memorize 6 pages at a time. May I hand them over in portions? No problem, Klein replied calmly. The 6 pages appeared before the Fool. Justice, the Sun, and the Hanged Man waited silently. They were used to this routine. Klein began reading the first page. December 16th. I managed to contact the poor soul trapped in the storm and lost in the darkness. Klein's eyes brightened, finally a continuation of a previous diary entry. He calls himself Mr. Door and tried to teach me a complex ritual to help him return to the real world, promising to grant me 3 wishes. Does he think I'm a fool? I've lived over 60 years through 2 lives. I know the tricks of devils and evil gods. Still, his description of the 4th epoch's history is fascinating. Klein leaned back, smiling faintly, and continued reading.